Back in December of 2012, 20 children and 6 adults were shot to death at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Connecticut. The dad of one of those children, Mark Barden, grieved, but then formed a nonprofit organization called Sandy Hook Promise. He talks about the mission of that organization. Let me dig down a little bit on the organization. How do you proceed on this? With it, how do you make it happen?
We know that we have simple programs that are effective. Our Start with Hello program addresses social isolation, which we know from studying it. If left unchecked, chronic social isolation can lead to at-risk behaviors. We have our Say Something program, which trains students to look for and identify at-risk behaviors and connect somebody with a trusted adult, either by talking to a trusted adult or by using our anonymous reporting system, which connects somebody with trained crisis counselors. So we have these programs that we give to schools across the country for free, and we do these trainings, and we make sure that these trainings are sustained so that the curriculum in our programs are not just thrown over the wall and given to the school and we go away. We make sure that these curriculums are built into the culture and the climate of the school so that they can have their maximum impact. And we are very proud of the fact that thanks to our generous donors, as a nonprofit organization, we are able to give these programs away to schools at no cost to the schools. So we know that they work. We know that they're effective. We know that the students embrace these programs, and they build what we call Save Promise clubs in their schools as a way to sustain these programs. And so we're building this culture of students who are more empathetic, who are more connected, who are more likely to look out for one another, who have been trained on what those subtle warning signs are of somebody who may be at risk of hurting themselves or somebody else, and giving them the tools to connect that individual to a trusted adult who can help them with whatever services or interventions they may need. So we're really we're working at the heart of prevention here, Roger. We're truly preventing violence before it happens, and in the meantime, we're building a more connected culture within our schools. And the mission from here is to grow that and to build that at scale, and to continue to grow it at 100% efficacy and 100% ability to sustain these programs in schools.
Well, congratulations that you have a very readable website and also comprehensive.
Thank you. The folks in the Sandy Hook Promise organization are amazing. They're dedicated. They're smart, and that website is evidence of that. It's comprehensive, and thank you for sharing that feedback. That it's readable and easy to navigate, because we want it to be just that. And I'm really honored to have an incredible team of dedicated professionals to move this mission forward with me.
Let me ask you this: you teach this across the country. Do all the states or most of them embrace this?
Yeah. We find that. We do have. You mentioned states, and we do have whole states who have come to us and said, we want all of our middle and high school students trained in your programs with access to your anonymous reporting system. And so we are building out on that model, moving from a more school-to-school or district-wide approach to a more statewide approach. And look, there's really nothing prohibitive or political or divisive about what we do. We are starting the conversation with basic fundamental themes that we all agree on. We all want to protect our kids. We all want our communities to be safe, and that is at the heart of what we do. And it's not polarizing, and it's a great common ground to start this conversation on how can we do better, and how can we build a more connected, compassionate culture, and that's what we're doing.
Mark, I'm kind of out of questions, but did you have anything to add?
I just wanted to share that our policy team has written another piece of federal legislation that is passing through the chambers of Congress at the federal level with bipartisan support, and we're very excited about that. The Stand Up Act it provides suicide awareness and training, suicide prevention training for students across the country in middle and high school, and we're very excited to advance this legislation so that students across the country will have access to suicide prevention training. The Stand Up Act has passed the House of Representatives in the early part of May with bipartisan support, and now it's heading to the Senate. And we're very excited that Senator Hassan has decided to lead this as a co-sponsor, understanding that even prior to the pandemic, I think New Hampshire was 16th highest suicide rate across the country, and Senator Hassan has taken this on as an important priority issue for her. And she is very excited to lead and to be an early sponsor of this legislation in New Hampshire for her state of New Hampshire at the federal level. And so we are very excited that Stand Up Act has passed the House with bipartisan support, and I think now the Senate is enjoying approximately, I think 11 co-sponsors now, also split bipartisan. And once enacted, the Stand Up Act will be, a very strong vehicle for students to have access to suicide prevention training in their schools, which will be critical, especially now as we're seeing reports of suicide and suicidal ideation on a sharp increase in young folks. I think it's the second leading cause of death in U.S. citizens from between the ages of 10 and 24. So it's a major epidemic, and we're very proud of New Hampshire Senator Maggie Hassan for being a co-sponsor of this legislation, and to watch this legislation pass through our houses of government with bipartisan support.
Well, do you think, if enacted and signed, do any federal funds go with the act?
Oh yeah, we'll make sure that there's implementation mechanisms in place so that this legislation will enjoy robust. It will afford. I think states will have access to funding through this legislation, and Sandy Hook Promise will be ready to help build and train and implement suicide prevention trainings across the country.
I wanted to also ask you, before we go, to what extent do you think the pandemic, kids being restricted by the lockdowns and such, add to suicidal ideation, as you put it?
Yeah, well, the unfortunate reality of that, Roger, is that we have seen very consistent data from various research vehicles, also just from the reporting from our crisis center, from firsthand reports from students, that the pandemic has really exacerbated all of the stressors and triggers and anxieties that students are already grappling with. And the quarantine situation has been a major stressor for students, some of whom are not in their safest place when they are home because of domestic violence issues. So there's a wide range of symptoms that we're seeing as a result of the pandemic. Students have been engaging in their social lives mostly online while in quarantine. So that brings with it additional anxiety. And now, as students become matriculated into their face-to-face social situations in schools, as they re-enter their schools, they're experiencing a whole host of additional anxieties. So we've just released some PSAs around that, trying to bring awareness to that, so that parents and caring adults in the lives of these students will be aware that they are dealing with unprecedented levels of anxiety that may be on the inside, but that there will be subtle warning signs exhibited on the outside. And we're hoping that parents will take the extra time to identify and recognize those signs and just be a little more connected with their students and be ready to get them help if necessary. As we are watching this unfold, we're very concerned for our youth, and we want all folks to be aware that they need our help now more than ever.
That's Mark Barden, sandyhookpromise.org. Next week, a special segment, Picking Apart New Hampshire's State Budget. This is Roger Wood at Large, news and interviews.